You can't expect God to bless what you never gave him control of. You can't pray for increase while living in disobedience to his direction. That's the trap many of us fall into. We want the promise, but we don't want the process. We ask God for abundance, but we don't slow down long enough to hear what he's trying to say. And that's one of the main habits keeping people poor, not just poor financially, but poor in wisdom, poor in peace, poor in purpose. When you ignore God's voice, you start following your own, and your own voice will always take you to comfort, not calling. God doesn't lead you toward what's easy. He leads you toward what's eternal. But so many of us chase what feels good, not what's God. We chase money, status, validation, attention, and in the process, we lose the very guidance that would have led us to true prosperity. The truth is, it's not that God isn't speaking, it's that we've stopped listening. We scroll, we post, we plan, we move, but we don't pause. We've got Wi-Fi connection stronger than our spiritual connection. We've got calendars full, but our soul's empty. And then we wonder why doors won't open, why peace won't come, why blessings feel delayed. But God said, you keep asking me for direction, but you're walking your own path. Sometimes poverty starts the moment you stop seeking wisdom, because wisdom is wealth. It's what helps you discern opportunities, relationships, and decisions that align with your purpose. You can give a fool $1 million and he'll lose it in a year, but give a wise man a seed and he'll build a legacy. That's why Solomon didn't ask God for riches, he asked for wisdom. And with wisdom came everything else. Some people are poor because they've mistaken hustle for hearing. They think movement equals progress, but not every open door is from God. Some doors are distractions dressed as opportunities. The enemy doesn't need to destroy you if he can just distract you. That's why divine direction matters. That's why before every move, you've got to stop and say, God, is this you? Because the wrong step at the right time can still ruin your destiny. When you start walking in obedience, you start walking in overflow. But obedience requires trust. It requires faith that says, even if I don't understand it, I'll still follow you. God's path often won't make sense. It'll test you, stretch you, humble you, but that's where strength is built. That's where character grows. That's where blessings are born. Think about this. Every time in Scripture when people tried to do things their own way, they ended up in lack. Adam and Eve ignored God's instruction and they lost paradise. The Israelites tried to move without God and they wandered for 40 years. But every time someone listened, Abraham, Joseph, David, favor followed them, even through the storm. Because obedience doesn't keep you from pain, it prepares you for purpose. So many people today are living in financial stress, not because God didn't provide, but because they never asked him how to manage what he provided. You can't pray for blessings and live outside of divine order. You can't expect harvest from a field you never cultivated with obedience. God's wisdom isn't just spiritual, it's strategic. He'll teach you how to save, how to invest, how to serve, how to multiply, but you've got to make room to hear him. Sometimes God will block something you thought you wanted just to protect you from something you can't see. But when you're moving without his wisdom, you'll interpret his protection as punishment. That's why humility matters. The moment you think you know better than God, poverty begins because pride always leads to lack. You've got to be bold enough to say, God, I don't want to just move fast, I want to move right. That's the shift. That's when you start living by principle, not pressure. Because when God gives direction, he also gives provision. The right idea, the right people, the right timing, everything flows when you follow divine instruction. So check your habits. Are you chasing validation or seeking vision? Are you following the crowd or following Christ? Because one leads to noise, the other leads to peace. You don't need to have it all figured out, you just need to be available. God doesn't bless perfection, he blesses obedience. When you seek his wisdom first, everything else begins to align. You stop wasting energy on what doesn't matter. You stop chasing things that don't last. You begin to walk in purpose, peace, and provision. Because when you move with God, you move with power, and power breaks poverty every single time. You can't ask God for a blessing and keep living without structure. You can't pray for growth and stay comfortable in your excuses. Discipline is divine order. It's the bridge between your prayers and your promise. Everybody wants success, but few are willing to be consistent long enough to receive it. We live in a generation that wants results without resistance, purpose without process, and rewards without responsibility. But it doesn't work that way, not in God's kingdom. When you look around, you can see it everywhere, people filled with dreams but stuck in delay. Not because they're not talented, not because God didn't choose them, but because they lack the discipline to carry what they're praying for. Discipline is the evidence that you're serious about your destiny. It's not glamorous, it's not loud, and it doesn't always feel good, but it builds what emotion can't sustain. See, emotion will get you started, but discipline will keep you standing. Emotion says, I'll do it when I feel like it. Discipline says, I'll do it because I made a commitment. Emotion says, I'm tired. Discipline says, this is part of the process. If you can't master your habits will master you. And most people aren't failing because of lack of opportunity. They're failing because of lack of consistency. The truth is, you can't pray for overflow and keep pouring your energy into distractions. You can't ask God to enlarge your territory while you waste the little ground He's already given you. God isn't going to bless disorder. He's a God of alignment, not confusion. When you keep waking up without direction, scrolling through life, chasing comfort, you're building a pattern of poverty, not just financially, but mentally and spiritually. Discipline is not about control, it's about commitment. It's waking up early not because you have to, but because you want to become who God called you to be. It's choosing purpose over pleasure. It's learning to say no to what feels good so you can say yes to what produces good fruit. Every day you practice discipline, you are telling heaven, I'm ready for more. There are too many people praying for promotion while avoiding preparation. They want the platform, but they don't want the process. They want the spotlight, but not the sacrifice. But God will never give you something your character can't carry, and discipline is what builds character. It's what teaches you how to stay grounded when blessings start coming. Because success without discipline is destruction waiting to happen. You can see it even in the smallest things. The way you handle your time, your money, your relationships, it's all training for your destiny. If you can't be disciplined with $100, how can you handle $1 million? If you can't be consistent in private, how can God trust you in public? Discipline starts in the dark when nobody's clapping, nobody's watching, and nobody's praising you. That's when God sees what you're really made of. Every great person in the Bible had to walk through discipline before destiny. Joseph was disciplined through prison. David was disciplined through the pasture. Jesus was disciplined through temptation. They all had a vision, but they didn't skip the process, because vision without discipline is just imagination. Discipline gives vision structure. It turns someday into today. You've got to stop waiting for motivation and start building momentum. Motivation fades, discipline stays. It's not about doing everything perfectly, it's about doing something faithfully. Even when you don't see the results right away, keep going. God honors persistence. He sees your effort. He measures your consistency. Sometimes the blessing isn't that you got what you wanted, it's that you became the kind of person who could handle it. And let's be honest, discipline will break you before it builds you. It'll stretch you, isolate you, and make you question if it's even worth it. But that's how God refines you. Every no you say to distraction strengthens your yes to destiny. Every time you choose progress over comfort, heaven takes notice. That's where real wealth begins, not in your bank account, but in your habits. Poverty doesn't always look like empty pockets. Sometimes it looks like wasted potential. And you don't defeat poverty with prayer alone, you defeat it with principles. Discipline is one of those principles. It's the act of saying, I'm not going to live by how I feel. I'm going to live by what I believe. Because what you believe shapes what you build. So if you want God to trust you with more, start mastering what's already in your hands. Show up, stay focused, be faithful in the small things. Discipline doesn't make life easier, it makes you stronger. And when you walk with discipline, you walk with divine power. That's when doors open, favor flows, and peace follows. Because God doesn't just bless talent, He blesses temperance. He blesses the ones who don't just dream, but do. The ones who show up even when it's hard. The ones who live not by emotion, but by purpose. Most people don't realize this, but complaining is one of the fastest ways to drain your destiny. Every time you complain, you give energy to what's wrong instead of building what's right. You feed your frustration instead of your faith. You tell your problem it's bigger than your purpose, and what you constantly speak over your life begins to shape your reality. Some people stay broke not because God didn't bless them, but because they keep talking themselves out of the blessing. When you spend your time complaining, you lose sight of creating. And creation is where the miracle happens. God gave us the power to speak life, to build, to move, to plant, but we use that same breath to complain about what we don't have. You can't curse your situation and expect it to change. You can't speak defeat and walk in victory. You've got to choose creation over complaint. Everybody goes through storms. Everybody faces seasons of lack, pain, and disappointment. But the difference between those who rise and those who stay stuck is simple response. Some people use the storm as fuel to build something greater. Others sit in the rain and cry about how unfair life is. The storm wasn't sent to stop you, it was sent to shape you. Complaining keeps you in the storm, creating leads you out of it. God doesn't respond to complaints, he responds to faith. When the Israelites were freed from Egypt, they complained the moment things got uncomfortable. They wanted freedom but didn't want faith. They were out of slavery physically, but still slaves mentally. Every time they murmured, they delayed their own promise. That's what complaining does. It keeps you circling the same desert, repeating the same lessons, never entering the land God already prepared for you. You can't create progress from a negative posture. When you complain, you close your creative spirit. You become so focused on what's missing that you miss what's possible. The energy you spend complaining could be the energy that builds your next opportunity. The time you waste talking about what's wrong could be used to write the vision for what's next. You're one idea, one decision, one act of faith away from change, but complaining blinds you to see it. The enemy loves a complaining heart because it stops you from growing. He doesn't have to steal your blessing if he can just keep you bitter. He doesn't have to block your opportunity if he can just make you ungrateful for the one you already have. Complaining keeps you focused on problems. Faith keeps you focused on purpose. Gratitude and growth can't live in the same room as grumbling. When you create, you cooperate with God's nature. He is a creator, and when you step into creation, you step into his likeness. You stop waiting for miracles and start becoming one. Creation doesn't always mean building a business or writing a song. Sometimes it's building a better mindset, creating peace in your home, starting something small that honors God with what you have. You can't let the limitations around you silence the possibilities within you. God specializes in multiplying small things. The problem is, many people never give him anything to multiply. They complain about the seed instead of planting it. They complain about not having enough and never realize that enough is already in their hands. Miracles happen in motion, not in murmuring. When you move, when you create, when you build, God breathes on it. But if you stay still and stuck in negativity, you suffocate your own blessings. Stop rehearsing your pain and start releasing your purpose. You've been through enough to complain for a lifetime, but that same story could inspire nations if you learn to turn your wounds into wisdom. Every challenge you faced has something creative inside it, a lesson, a product, a message, a ministry, but you'll never see it if all you do is focus on how hard it was. Pain becomes power when you stop talking about it and start transforming it. God gave you imagination, not for fantasy, but for formation. He put creativity in your spirit so you could shape your environment. When you choose to create instead of complain, heaven backs you up. You'll find peace in the process, strength in the struggle, and purpose in the pain. That's how you turn your wilderness into a workshop you build while it's still broken. So the next time life hits hard, instead of asking, why me? Ask, what can I build with this? Instead of saying, nothing's working, say, God, show me what I can work with. Because there's always something in your hands, a gift, a story, a skill, a spark. God doesn't need perfection to move, he just needs participation. The truth is, complaining doesn't change your situation, it changes you for the worse. But creating changes everything. It opens heaven's flow. It turns scarcity into strategy. It brings light into dark places. And the moment you stop complaining and start creating, you'll see that God was never withholding anything from you. He was waiting for you to use what he already gave you. That's when you step into the power of gratitude, vision, and action. And that's when true wealth begins. One of the biggest reasons people stay poor in finances, faith, and fulfillment is because they refuse to sow. They want a harvest without putting in the work. They want the blessing without the planting. They want God to multiply what they never invested, but life doesn't work that way. God designed this world to move by a divine principle. You reap what you sow. If you don't sow seeds of effort, excellence, and faith, don't expect a harvest of abundance. So many people are waiting for God to do what God is waiting for them to start. They're praying for opportunities while ignoring the ones already in their hands. They're asking for increase but refusing to plant the little they have. They look at the ground and say, "I don't have enough seed." But God says, "What did I already give you?" Because the truth is, He never leaves you empty-handed, but He will test if you'll trust Him with the little before He gives you much. You can't expect a harvest from soil you never touched. You can't expect favor from fields you never worked. The person who complains about not having enough time, talent, or money often overlooks the simple truth: the miracle starts when you start. When you move, heaven moves. But if you sit in fear or laziness, waiting for a perfect moment, you'll miss the blessing that comes through planting in faith. The seed doesn't look like the promise. That's why so many people give up before they start. The seed looks small, fragile, and insignificant. It doesn't seem like much, but everything great in life starts small. Every vision, every business, every calling, it all begins as a seed. What you do with that seed determines what grows from it. God can't multiply what you refuse to plant. Sometimes people pray, "Lord, bless my finances," while ignoring the principle of giving. They want to receive more, but their hands are closed. But closed hands can't receive blessings. God's economy works through generosity. The more you give, the more He multiplies. Whether it's your time, your talent, your resources, or your encouragement, the act of sowing activates heaven's favor. When you sow into others, when you invest in your growth, when you serve with a pure heart, you're telling God, "I trust you with my seed." And make no mistake, sowing is not always comfortable. Sometimes it hurts to give. Sometimes it feels like you're losing something. But in God's kingdom, nothing planted in faith is ever lost. It may take time, it may require patience, it may even go unseen for a season, but the harvest always comes. That's the power of sowing. It teaches you faith, it builds your endurance, and it shows you that growth happens underground before it ever happens in public. Too many people quit in the planting season because they don't see results fast enough. But you don't plant today and reap tomorrow. You plant today, you water daily, you endure seasons, and then in due time you reap what you've sown. God's timing is never rushed, but it's always right. The question isn't whether the harvest is coming, it's whether you'll still be working when it does. Look at farmers. They don't question the process. They prepare the soil, plant the seed, water it, and wait. They don't dig it up every day to check if it's growing. They trust the process. That's how faith works. Your job isn't to control the harvest. Your job is to keep sowing. Sow in faith, sow in love, sow in discipline. Sow when it's easy and sow when it's hard, because the ones who keep sowing are the ones who keep growing. There's another danger: people want to harvest in fields they never invested in. They see someone else's success and envy it, not realizing the price that was paid in private. Every blessing has a backstory. Every harvest has a hidden season of sacrifice. So instead of wishing for someone else's results, start watering your own ground. Start cultivating your own gift. And let's be honest, sowing isn't just about money or material things. It's about attitude, it's about faithfulness. Every word you speak, every thought you dwell on, every action you take is a seed. You're either sowing faith or fear, hope or doubt, purpose or procrastination. Whatever you sow in your spirit will eventually show in your life. If you're tired of living in lack, start planting something different. Change your routine, invest in your growth, give more than you take. Serve when no one notices, because the law of sowing and reaping isn't a suggestion, it's a system. It works for those who work it. The moment you understand that, you'll stop waiting for opportunities and start creating them. The harvest you dream about is already connected to the seeds you hold today. Don't bury them in excuses or fear. Put them in the ground. Trust God with the outcome, because when you sow with faith, you invite favor. And when you move in obedience, you release overflow. Your seed is your starting point. What you do with it determines what your future looks like. Don't hold it, plant it. Don't doubt it, water it. Don't waste it, grow it. Because God can turn a single seed of effort into a lifetime of blessings, but only if you're willing to sow. One of the hardest lessons in life is learning to wait on God. We live in a world that celebrates speed, not patience, where everyone wants the blessing now, the breakthrough now, the platform now. But God doesn't move according to your clock. He moves according to your character. And until your character can carry what you're praying for, He'll keep you in the process. not because he's punishing you, but because he's preparing you. Impatience has robbed more people of their destiny than failure ever will. It's not that they didn't have potential, it's that they couldn't stand the process. They wanted the promise without the preparation. They wanted the harvest without the waiting, but God's timing is not a delay, it's development. Every moment you spend waiting is shaping something inside you that success alone could never teach. We pray for promotion, but God first teaches patience. We ask for increase, but He first teaches integrity. Because if He gave you everything too soon, it would crush you. Blessings out of season can become burdens. There's a reason fruit takes time to ripen. If you pick it too early, it's bitter. That's how purpose works too. When you doubt God's timing, you end up settling for something that looks good now but can't last long. Think about Abraham and Sarah. God promised them a child, but when time went on and nothing happened, impatience took over. They tried to make the promise happen in their own way, and that one act of impatience caused years of pain and conflict. That's what happens when you rush what God is still building. You trade divine order for temporary satisfaction. Waiting doesn't mean nothing is happening, it means something is happening inside you. God uses waiting seasons to strengthen your faith, refine your focus, and build your endurance. The longer the wait, the greater the weight of what's coming. But you can't see it if you're too busy complaining about the clock. When you learn to trust His timing, peace becomes your posture. You stop trying to control outcomes and start aligning your obedience. Impatience blinds you to what God is doing behind the scenes. You look at other people's lives and start comparing your chapter 3 to their chapter 20. You say, God, why them? Why not me? But you don't see the tears, the sacrifice, the silent seasons that built them. What you call a delay, God calls a setup. He's aligning people, places, and opportunities for your appointed moment. And when it's your time, no man, no mistake, no delay can stop what He's ordained. Sometimes, God keeps you waiting because He's still removing what's not meant to go with you. He's cutting off relationships, habits, and mindsets that can't survive in the next level of your life. And if you rush ahead, you'll drag old problems into new blessings. That's why patience is protection. It shields you from premature exposure. You've got to understand that waiting is not weakness, it's warfare. It's you saying, God, even when I don't see it, I trust you. Even when it doesn't make sense, I believe you're working. That kind of faith moves heaven, because real faith isn't proven when life is fast, it's proven when life is still. When you can wait, worship, and work in the dark, that's when you show heaven you're ready for the light. There's power in patience. It teaches you how to depend on God instead of yourself. It reminds you that He's not late, He's intentional. He's aligning everything so that when the blessing comes, it won't just bless you. It'll bless everyone connected to you. But if you doubt His timing, you'll forfeit His favor. You'll end up running ahead of grace and exhausting yourself trying to make things happen by force instead of faith. God's timing isn't about delay, it's about design. He's not holding something from you, He's holding it for you until you're ready. There's something sacred about the seasons of silence, because that's where you learn who He really is. You learn that His promises aren't on pause, they're in process. And when you finally reach that place where you stop fighting the wait and start trusting it, peace replaces pressure. You can't microwave destiny, you can't fast forward through purpose. Every blessing worth having takes time to grow. So instead of doubting God's timing, start developing in it. Use the waiting to work on your character. Use the stillness to build your skill. Use the quiet to strengthen your relationship with Him. Because when He finally says, now, you'll be ready, not desperate. Don't mistake silence for absence. God's delay is often His mercy. He's keeping you from doors you're not ready for yet. And when you finally understand that, you'll stop chasing speed and start embracing seasons. Because what's meant for you will never miss you, and what misses you was never meant for you. So don't rush the process, respect it. Don't doubt His timing, trust it. Because when it's your time, you won't have to force it, fake it, or fear it. God's hand will move, doors will open, and everything that felt delayed will suddenly make sense. And in that moment, you'll look back and realize the wait was never wasted.